So welcome back. You have me today, and just me and Apollo. So not just me, but me and Apollo today. And this is going to be a banger today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. And, I sent Tucker Carlson a text message, and I said, hey, listen, at least you have the courage to stand up and say the quiet part out loud. And more often than not, we're told that we're not allowed to say the quiet part out loud. You're not allowed to talk about Israel. You got to support them 100%. Even when people are dying, even when there's questions about things, you got to support them. And earlier today, I dropped a few things on X and others and other social platforms. And we're going to go through the Lindell versus Eric Coomer trial jury instructions, the forms, and the information that the general public as a whole hasn't seen. See, the media tries to do this thing where they can recap things, and I do want to also talk about the fact that the Salem media came out against me. I got an entire stacked against me, entire. So we want to go through all of this. Peter Boyles gets out there and attacks me. Jovan Pulitzer gets out there and attacks me. It is a concerted effort to attack me. It's as if I am the only target that they have in mind. They want to punish me because without me, there would have been no Dominion. So you got the private equity guys over at Dominion that decided that, okay, he's going to take out Coomer. There's more stuff that I've learned about Coomer through this trial with Mike Lindell. Interesting stuff that I didn't have access to. I'm trying to figure out why he didn't actually divulge any of that information in the initial discovery. It looks like he was hiding more things, that little guy Coomer. But we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, and we're going to talk about other stuff. And man, it's going to be a banger today. We're going to have some fun, and I'm going to tell you where I'm at. But stay tuned. All this and a whole lot more today on Untamed.
Take two. Cut.
Take two.
Cut.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people. All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is. So we're going to start out this way. We're going to start out talking about Mike Lindell. Let's go up and put up, if we can, the motion in limine. The motion in limine was before the trial started. And this was by the judge, Nina Wong. Sounded out Wang, but it's Wong. And in this motion, you have the judge saying that the character of Eric Coomer is not in question when we're questioning the character of Eric Coomer. I kid you not. Let me say that again. The character of Eric Coomer is not relevant, and it could be prejudicial to the jury in cases where Eric Coomer's credibility and character are in question. So his character's in question. He was defamed, but he already had really bad character. So I'm still trying to figure out how you defame someone that has spent decades defaming himself. So they heard oral arguments in this, and they said, okay, we're going to grant in part and we're going to deny in part the motion to correct the filing, and they're going to deny the defendant's exhibits to leave and file a different version of their response. Let's go a little further down into this if we can. So in this brief, Eric Coomer sued defendants Lindell, Frank Speech, and MyPillow. And I want to tell you right now that MyPillow was found 100% not liable for anything that was said for their claims against Dr. Coomer, former employee of DVS, Dominion Voting Systems, participating in efforts to interfere with the 2020 presidential election. Now, I just want you to understand that the motion in limine that you're about to see, or you're seeing right now, and you can put me up next to it if you want, and you can join us if you'd like. Apollo, your call, obviously. But you're going to see that the plaintiff alleges the defendant published false and defamatory statements which originated from non-party Joseph Altman, Mr. Altman. The plaintiff told an Antifa conference call that he had made sure that President Trump would not win the 2020 presidential election. Now, plaintiff proceeds to trial on 3 claims. 1, defamation. 2, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And 3, civil conspiracy. He alleges that defendant's conduct has provoked an onslaught of harassment and credible death threats issued against him. Now, I just want you to understand one thing about that part in particular. There is no evidence that there was ever any threats against Coomer. There was 0 evidence that was produced, 0 evidence that was put forward, 0 evidence that was shown to show that Eric Coomer, I mean, besides his own voice, besides him talking and saying, this is what happened to me, there is 0 evidence. There is 0 evidence that anyone ever came to his house, came to where he was staying, interfered with him. He sat at a bar in the middle of the town that he lives in and drank regularly, got in fights with his kitchen staff regularly, got in arguments with people and served food and sat around and hung out and ran into buildings, did all sorts of stuff. At no point is there one police report, not one police report, not one, so 0. I don't know if that's good math for you. Not one, but 0 times that the police were ever called because of a credible threat or any threat of any kind to Eric Coomer. Now let's go ahead and keep that up. I want to kind of go through this. Go ahead, hit the share button, play with us a little bit, share it. I'm starting to get angry. Yeah, hit the share button. I get 10 shares and I'll keep going. Hit the share. Share. I'll wait. We have an email issue. If everybody hits the share button, it'll explode really quickly. I think this is important. I think everyone needs to hear it. I've been defamed up and down one side or the other. And I said that. I actually sent that to Tucker as well. And I was like, listen, bro, here, let me send it to you, all the links and stuff, and you can look at it. But there's no evidence, there's out of 8 people on a jury. Now keep in mind, we're going to go through the in limine, which will show you that the judge acted to prevent anyone from seeing who Coomer was while swallowing all of his BS that's on here, and yet stopped me from talking about what actually got me to the place where I got Eric Coomer, where he was on the call. And in addition to that, they spent an entire day hammering and ended the day by saying there was no call, was there? And yet the next day, they then had to defend an affidavit that they produced to say there was a call, oops, but Eric Coomer wasn't on it. So let's go through this. Defendants conducted and provoked an onslaught of harassment and credible death threats issued against him, such as he is at risk in his home or going to work. His presence puts his family, friends, colleagues, and his community in danger. Again, not one threat. Not one. None. 0. They can just say it, and it is. He alleges that he suffered significant actual and special damages, harm to his reputation. Well, we're going to talk about that in limine. Emotional distress, stress, anxiety, lost earnings, and other pecuniary loss. I think that's particular loss, right? So that means motion limiting Dr. Coomer seeks to preclude defendants from introducing several categories at evidence at trial. Now, I want you to understand something, that one of the things at question is the credibility of Eric Coomer. Is his credibility in question? Mine is. They want to attack me. I was on the call. I had notes. They didn't like my notes, though. My notes, they didn't like it. So they went out and hired people to defame me and put KOLs, key opinion leaders in the market, even though they're crappy, put them out there to say, we're going to talk about Joe. Okay. This evidence that they want to preclude, Dr. Coomer's 2021 motor vehicle accident. Okay. So let me just tell you right now, it was not a motor vehicle accident. It was a hit and run in which he ran into a building, left the scene, went into a bar, and took shots of alcohol. And then when the police showed up, he committed a felony. So if you can't actually have the motor vehicle accident of the building, okay, let's at least show the fact that he lied over and over and over again. Nope. They want it precluded. They want his religious beliefs or opinions kept out. He's a Satanist. He's got the Church of Satan on his arm. Like the tattoo for the Church of Satan, the Streaming Pope, is on his arm. He has made many comments about the fact that he is, of that guild, I guess you could call it. His opinions about law enforcement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and related issues. So now I'm not allowed to talk about in the things that I talk about. I'm not allowed to talk about Antifa. I'm not allowed to talk about Black Lives Matter. I'm not allowed to talk about the fact that he talked about killing cops and calling them pigs. Now, this is the head of strategy and security for Dominion voting systems that we have seen countless amounts of fraud across the entire country. Countless amounts of fraud across the entire country. Countless amounts of acts of fraud. You have Tina Peters that's sitting in jail. That's Dominion voting systems. You have the fact that what's happened in Colorado and the fact that you have no access to election records. You have the cast vote records, which we proved mathematically. Mathematically, we proved 100%. We absolutely 100% unequivocally proved that they were fraudulent. The machines are fraudulent. They're designed to defraud the American people. ASOG said it in December of 2021 or 2020. It was in the same reports that came out in 2021 that they had in Maricopa County. You had the same thing in Nevada. You had the same thing in New Mexico. You had the same thing in Colorado and Mesa County in the 4 reports that were generated after having an image of that area as well. Not allowed to talk about law enforcement. Not allowed to talk about Black Lives Matter, Antifa, which, by the way, how do I not talk about that stuff and relate how I got on the call to him and being on the call? Not allowed to talk about it. They don't want you to talk about Coomer's Facebook post about President Trump. Not allowed to talk about Dr. Coomer's assorted other, what is it? Keep going up. Facebook posts. Not allowed to put out the 118-page document entitled Eric Coomer, Pawn, Plant, or Perp. So the stuff that the researcher did on this specifically, not allowed to talk about it. Though the court's analysis primarily focused on the motion to eliminate, it begins with defendant's motion to correct filing. So it goes through this first. So just go down through this, pop through it a little bit, keep going. If you want to read it, it is on all of my pages. I did put a link to it. It goes through some case law. What's really odd about this is some of the case law is actually wrong, but that's okay. We'll go back to that. And then this says the resolving the parties' substantive arguments. Court must address what version of defendant's response it will consider. So it goes through and it actually considers the second one. So if you keep going, problematic citations were supplied. Yeah. We got all that stuff. All right. So, all right, there you go. Boop. Now, then he wants to go separate ruling on the order to show cause and do course. What was that for? Go back up a little bit. All right. They're going to issue a separate ruling in order to show cause and due course. In other words, not going to address it right now. Okay. The motor vehicle accident in September 2021. In the motion, plaintiff asked the court to exclude evidence of the involvement in a motor vehicle accident. It wasn't a motor vehicle accident. So Coomer's lawyers are allowed to lie in this deal. It gets picked up. Call it a motor vehicle accident. It wasn't. Plaintiff avers that when questioned by police, he initially denied any role in the accident, but later admitted that he accidentally ran his car into the side of a building. Okay, ready? Check this out. First of all, he didn't run a car into it. He ran a truck into it, a pickup truck. That's number one. Number two, he went into a bar and drank alcohol in order to conceal himself being arrested for a DUI. He was cited for reckless driving. No, he pled out to reckless driving. He could have been, had the lawyers not showed up on the side of the road, cited for a felony. So he committed a felony. He didn't commit reckless driving. He committed a felony. But see, they're going to go through this right now, right? So Coomer is asking to exclude testimony about the accident. All the body cam footage, you want to pull that out too, from the police officers, that would have shown not that he denied it, but the way by which he denied it. Apollo, do you think his denial was sociopathic?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy looked at cameras, at officers multiple times, completely lied, and in regards to something that is, I mean, plain as day. And
said, talk to my lawyer. Lawyered up. It was like watching a thing on, what is it called? NYU, what is it called? NCIS or something?
Yeah. And then when he actually got cornered and he couldn't get out of it, then what did he do? He pivoted and, I'm a victim.
And then he said, you can't have that. An edited video compilation of the video footage that was publicized through my podcast, which it was. Coomer argues that the evidence should be excluded under Rule 403 because it is probative value is non-existent with respect to his claims. His credibility is at question here. Is his credibility at question? I don't know. I mean, I'm a little shocked right now. Is it or is it not in question? Is his credibility in question? I would say it's in question. He contends that I tried to inject additional prejudice or confusion by speculating that he was intoxicated during the accident. Okay. He did commit a felony on the video cam. It says right here, the defense counsel characterized the body cam footage as depicting a DUI hit and run where Coomer commits a felony on this video cam. He committed a felony, the same one, by the way, that Tina Peters was not able to escape, and that is influencing a public official. He did that. They were going to charge him with a felony. He responded the body cam footage is directly relevant to Coomer's credibility and character for truthfulness, which are central issues. Like you would think, right? Normal person would say, this is absolutely true. Keep going up. His truthfulness. A central issue defamation case. They also argued that federal rule of evidence, 608, permits cross-examination about specific instances of conduct as it relates to witness truthfulness. He lied over and over and over again. Defendant contends that the body cam footage should be admissible on cross-examination because it concerns Coomer's mental state and pre-existing conditions affecting his psychological well-being. The court will allow limited, here you go, ready? The court will allow limited cross-examination of Coomer directed at his character of truthfulness and initially denying his involvement in the accident. Okay, let me just be clear. He didn't just initially deny the accident. He denied it up until the last 1 minute of it. There was no, he denied it, and then I gave it up. No, he was handcuffed, he was arrested, detained, put in the back of the car, and his his lawyer walks up, doop, 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 and says, I'm going to get Eric Coomer out. What do we have to do? Slithery little snake comes up and says, you know what? I'm going to get him off. Well, so you're telling me that if he takes responsibility for this, you'll just write him a ticket for the accident. He dodged a bullet with a DUI. I think it was his third DUI. I think he had a couple in California tied to his drug use. Oh, we'll get to that too. He's not allowed to talk about that. Okay, put it back up again. So they'll allow him to ask the question about specific instances of witness conduct in order to attack or support the witness' character for truthfulness. And the defendant may question him on the specific September accident and any untruthful statements that he made regarding the accident. With respect to the narrow avenue of cross-examination, the motion to eliminate is respectfully denied. Okay, ready? Other testimony or evidence of the accident, however, is inadmissible. It specifically precludes the use of intrinsic evidence, such as body cam footage, edited or otherwise, to support or attack a witness's character for truthfulness. That's actually not what it says. That's not what Rule 608B says. That is a lie. That is not what it says. Now you can make that, you could jump the Grand Canyon too if you actually were Usain Bolt with a rocket tied to your back. All right, let's go ahead and put it up again. Coomer, during the pretrial trial preparation conference, counsel suggests referring to Dr. Coomer due to his PhD in nuclear engineering constitutes credible evidence that opens the door to defendants introducing rebuttal evidence. But defendants have proved no authority for the proposition that refers to a party by his academic title constitutes character evidence that permits defendants to introduce unrelated, otherwise inadmissible evidence. And intrinsic evidence to attack a different aspect. Go, keep going up. I can't read it. Aspect of the party's character. As the advisory committee notes, 608 explains, the inquiry is strict limited to character for veracity rather than allowing evidence to be character generally. Except if your name's Joe Altman, because they spent 2 days attacking me personally. My character, based on videos of me pissed off. They could put that up because they can be prejudicial to the jury. They're allowed to do that. But the guy that's literally saying that, oh, don't, just trust me. Trust me, dude. I'm not lying, and I didn't bombastiously, even that's who I am. I didn't bombastiously say that I was going to steal an election. Now, whether or not he did, and he was responsible for stealing the election, I don't know. I know Dominion was. I know Dominion was responsible for it, and he was head of strategy and security that happened to hold a patent for adjudication. So it goes into inadmissible evidence to attack a different aspect of the party's character. Truthfulness. Can't do it. It's limited to veracity rather than allowing evidence to character generally, even though this is about his truthfulness. And aside from limited cross-examination above, testimony about the motor vehicle accident, which it was not, it was a felony that he committed, is not directed at Coomer's credibility for truthfulness. Testimony about all aspects of the accident, including both the unaltered and edited body cam footage, is therefore inadmissible under Rule 608. See, they have so many rules that they can just do whatever they want. Because defendant identified no viable alternative basis for its admissibility, court will exclude evidence of Coomer's accident under Rule 403. Permitted exclusion of evidence whose probative value is substantially outweighed by a risk of unfair prejudice. Nearly all the events related to this lawsuit occurred before September 2021 accident. Yet the person that would lie in December, go ahead and get that ready if you could, Apollo, in December, where he wrote an article in the Denver Post. See, it's a pattern of who Eric Coomer is. Eric Coomer is a compulsive liar. He is compulsively sociopathic, not by my terms of it, but by the definition of what it means to be that based on all of his behavior. And you could say whatever you want, but find me another person who puts the Church of Satan tattoo on his arm, that writes publicly and posts about raping his wife, making her bark like a dog and peeing on her, that is a drug addict, that gets in fight with his kitchen staff, that runs into a building and leaves and goes into a place and drinks and then lies like a rug, that says that he doesn't have a Twitter account. Oh, but he did. And Facebook accounts. Oh, yeah, I impersonated him. It's directly related to who he is. That guy would lie if the truth was better. According to the motion in limine, it respectfully granted with respect to body cam footage of September of the accident. Keep going. Sorry. Edit compilation and all of that stuff, statements involved in the accident. Oh, here we go. You're not allowed to talk about his sexual preferences or activities. No internet posts. Again, you're looking at a pattern of habit of who he is character-wise. You can't go to the early 90s related to the same. He contends such evidence is relevant and unfairly prejudicial. So it's unprejudicial. You can't talk about Coomer getting in an accident, running in, drinking, lying to the police, sitting in the back, having his lawyers sit on the side of the road as if they're running a cartel and saying, hey, why don't you just write him a ticket for reckless driving and we'll let him go. Almost killing someone when he drove away. That's also in the body footage. He almost ran someone over, which could have resulted in the person dying. And now this is unfairly prejudicial. So you're not allowed to talk about Coomer's sexual perversions. And I don't know how raping your wife is a sex life. Anybody want to tell me that? I'm willing to listen. If you can tell me, go ahead and hit the share button. Share it, share it, share it, share it, share it. Our email things are down right now, so I can't send out emails. So if you're getting here now and you're wondering why I didn't get one, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to talk about Coomer's drug and alcohol use. So in the 90s, he still is doing drugs and alcohol. You're not allowed to talk about his alcohol use prior to commitment to an inpatient drug rehab center. Not allowed to talk about the case that was sealed under record in California about him almost going to jail for a very, very long time. Not allowed to talk about it. There's no evidence that he was engaged in illicit drug use or under the influence of alcohol at any time material to this lawsuit. Well, maybe, or maybe he was drunk when he was on that call. During the pretrial preparation conference, the counsel asserts that Coomer's drug use was remote and he hasn't used heroin since 2005. Well, I can prove that's not true. No, that's not true. I can't prove that's not true. I can prove that someone stated that that's not true. And, well, whatever. Maybe it's true and not true. I got caught in this thing too, where somebody sent me a bunch of stuff about offshore stuff. And so I'm like, just give me the information, give me the information, give me the information, give me the information. Thought the person was credible because they gave me partially good information. And it turns out that I'm like, well, maybe it's true. But that same person did not come through with the repository information on that would have been helpful. Would have been really helpful. Defendant responds to evidence Coomer's drug and alcohol use is relevant to rebut Coomer's claims of emotional distress damages. Okay, maybe. I don't know. It just gets to the point where you're not allowed to do it. Okay, so to properly contextualize and contradict his damages claim as far as psychological injuries, court will exclude that evidence as well. It's excluded under Rule 403, and it's not relevant. And courts do permit evidence of drug and alcohol use to relevant to emotional damages. Those cases generally involve recent or ongoing substance abuse. Those cases generally. Well, guess what? I just went and did a bunch of research. Guess what's not true? What she said. It's not true. But you can go find cases where it is true. Keep going. So they have not asserted that Coomer struggled with substance abuse during any time. They hadn't. But, we're not going to allow that at all. Keep going. It'll say, so you may not talk about this. You cannot talk about anything is respectfully granted to Coomer's drug and alcohol use. Can't talk about that either. Boy, this is getting good, huh? His religious beliefs. So you're not allowed to talk about the defendant has to present evidence of his religious beliefs related to being a Satanist. Nope, not allowed to talk about it. He grants that. You can't talk about that either. So you can't talk about the liar that lied. You can't talk about his perversion to raping his wife and then publishing it on the internet. You can't talk about his drug and alcohol use and the perversions there. And you can't talk about this either. It's all out. Opinions about law enforcement, Black Lives Matter. This is great. So keep in mind that you won't see any Antifa in here. He'll just talk about Black Lives Matter. He says that the evidence of opinions, law enforcement or Black Lives Matter movement should be excluded as irrelevant, unfairly prejudicial, and confusing to the jury. Defendant says that the plaintiff's opinions about law enforcement are relevant insofar they relate to law enforcement workers who support Trump. And the defendants wish to cross-examine Coomer about his opinion of President Trump. Plaintiff does not seek to exclude that testimony. So he doesn't want to exclude. You can talk about President Trump, no problem. But Black Lives Matter movement, political issues, would not be relevant to the case. And it could risk confusing the jury. So let me just put this out there for everyone that's listening. What's confusing to the jury? He posts the Antifa manifesto on June 2nd of 2020. Just a few days after it was actually released to where Germany, I guess, is where it was released. I can't remember exactly where it came from. It's up on his page. I'm on an Antifa call. Eric Coomer's on it. It gets better. Go ahead and put it up again. Let's go through a little bit more of this. This is really good. So the motion to eliminate is granted with respect to evidence regarding Coomer's opinions and statements about law enforcement, Black Lives Matter, criminal justice reform, and the death of George Floyd. You're not allowed to talk about any of that stuff at all. So you can't talk about it. Let me just stack it for you. How's that stacking for you? Is that stacking okay for you? Is it making sense for you? What's even worse than this is that I'm not a party to this case. Coomer's not suing me in this case. But the motion in limine was sent to me, and the judge said that I'm bound by it even though I'm not a part of the case. So I'm not allowed to talk about this stuff even though I'm not a party to the case, and I'm testifying on behalf of what I heard on that call and all the evidence that led up to. But so far, I'm not allowed to talk about that, am I? But they're allowed to beat me over the head for 2 days straight. Yeah, this sounds like the America you want to live in, right? This is a just America. This is a justice system. No question. Facebook posts about President Trump. Plaintiff also suggests the post will be unfairly prejudicial to him in the eyes of jurors who voted for President Trump. What about the ones that didn't? So as long as you're actually, on his side. Defendant has advanced two theories of why Coomer's Facebook post about President Trump should be submitted. One in the briefing and one in the oral argument. First, the respondent argues that Coomer's prior Facebook post could be used to provide context for his statements about Coomer. Go down. About Coomer and rebut his claim of malice. But the plaintiff points out defendants have disavowed any knowledge of Coomer's Facebook post at the time they made the alleged defamatory statements. Well, that's not true. Coomer's Facebook to rebut actual malice because Mr. Lindell had no access to any of those statements. It's not true. Instead, defendants argued for the first time that the final pretrial preparation conference, the evidence of Coomer's post about Trump is relevant to Coomer's credibility. Under this theory, the defendants, Mike Lindell's attorneys, contend that his Facebook post showed that he is vitriolic. Why do I have problems with ambulance and I have problems with certain words. I know vitriol really well. Vitriolic. Towards President Trump, the jury could reasonably infer that he's the kind ambulance. You see what I just did? How many times for years I haven't been able to say that? Like 20 years. Apollo made fun of me for it. He's like, ambulance. Okay.
There's a song about it.
Ambulance. I come from bad stock. I miss words. Trump, the jury could reasonably infer that he's the kind of person that would actually have done this type of Antifa call. Right? So that's, again, draw a line from his words to a conclusion that, holy cow, he had a motive to do it. He had the means to do it. He had the access to do it. So he had the means. In other words, this is what he does. He writes code, right? All those things. TB 480, thank you for the Rumble rant. Corrupt judges is the main issue. I agree with you. 100%. Thank you for that Rumble rant. So it says that they anticipated the Antifa call and concluded defendant's statements about Coomer were substantially true. So prevail in defamation under the First Amendment in Colorado law, plaintiff must prove. Now keep in mind, this says a defamation claim under First Amendment and Colorado law. This is going to become important because the judge in this actually stated that she's relying on Colorado law. Colorado law also has a shield law against journalists who are declared a journalist, that have been found to be a journalist under Colorado law, which I was, page 90 of the transcript of a pretrial with Moses. They must prove the statements were defamatory, materially false, concerned the plaintiff, published to a third party, published with actual malice, and caused actual specific damages. Actual or special damages. And this is why I'm amazed at the fact that they found for Coomer at all. But you can't have any of this stuff, right? So go. The court agrees with defendant that Coomer's Facebook posts express opinions about Trump are relevant to Coomer's credibility. Evidence of those opinions may help the jury evaluate Coomer's testimony. Okay? He does not argue the evidence is opinion about Trump should be excluded, but the statements in his Facebook posts. But at the pretrial stage, the court cannot conclude that the Facebook posts are necessarily cumulative with Coomer's own testimony for purpose of Rule 403. So, keep going. This is funny. So you're, keep going down. Let's just get to the beat of this one. Oh, go down. So it's go up. Motion limiting is respectfully denied insofar as defendants seek to admit plaintiff's Facebook posts about President Trump to attack Coomer's credibility. So all the other stuff about him, kill Trump, all that stuff, can't have it. Not allowed to have it in. So Coomer's other Facebook posts about what he calls extraneous matters. Posts include commentary on Texans or the death of Jonathan Stackler or a picture of Coomer dressed as a clown for Halloween. Plaintiff contends these posts are irrelevant and inadmissible. The plaintiff did not address those posts in the response okay, keep in mind, I have to adhere to this. Keep going. So he's going to grant the fact that you cannot talk about any of those posts. Now keep in mind, when you're me and you're going through this stuff and is he on the call and is it supported? Can he do it? You're looking at Coomer. You're looking at what you remember back when you wrote the notes. You're looking at your notes. You're going through the social posts. You're creating a conclusion based upon the character of him and the fact that you were already able to identify him on the call as the Eric from Dominion. You didn't know that Dominion ran 50% of the vote of the American people. None of that was relevant, and you didn't know about it. You didn't know. Nobody knew till 2020. But it was granted. It was granted. You can't talk about that. 118-page background document. Wow, man, this got into a ton of stuff. His sexual proclivities, his drug use, his beliefs about religion, his opinion about law enforcement. He's a skinhead. Like, he's a self-proclaimed skinhead, but he's the type of skinhead that likes black people. You get that one, right? He's a black people loving skinhead. But they granted it, so you can't talk about that either. That has to stay out. So you can't talk about the fact that he's a liar, can't talk about the fact that he's a liar, can't talk about the fact that he's a skinhead, can't talk about the fact that he's a Satanist, can't talk about the fact, do you see what he can't talk about? I mean, what can you talk about? Well, we can talk about the fact that he went to Cal Berkeley. That's what we can talk about. Okay. They denied them the ability to have a motion to leave the corrected file. So they denied it. Can't have that. Corrected file for response to the court. Motion in limine is granted in part, denied in part. And then the motion is denied to the extent the defendants wish to cross-examine plaintiff about his alleged false statements regarding his involvement in September 2021, and then granted as to the videos. You can't talk about the videos. Granted that you can't talk about sex life, drug use, religious beliefs. All gets better. Talk about Black Lives Matter. Can't talk. By the way, did you see anywhere in here Antifa post? Do you see anywhere in here Antifa? Anywhere? Nope. Can't talk about that. Because they call it a Black Lives Matter, even though it was an Antifa post, which Antifa and Black Lives Matter are the same. Denied respect to about opinions about President Trump, but not the ones that talk about the stuff about him wanting to kill President Trump. Dead presidents. I pretty much can tell you every one of the posts that were on there. You're not allowed to talk about what the researcher did, pawn, plant, or perp. Can't talk about it. Keep going. Okay. Nina Wong, May 9th, right before the deal. Can't talk about that stuff. Can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. Now, 2 days I got on that jury. For 2 days, I sat up there on that jury stand. the witness stand in front of the jury. I looked at every one of those jurors in the face, and I talked to every single one of the juries. And there were people that didn't particularly like me on the jury. They didn't like me. That's fine. Left, right, center, they didn't like me. I'd say a vast majority of them when I got up there did not like me. And my job was to do one thing. My job was to just tell them the truth. And so I did. And so for the first day, they asked me a ton of questions. And they baited me a lot. And they just hammered me. You want to talk about emotional distress? Yeah. Get put in a position where you just get hammered and called names and slandered and defamed. Now, you've already gone through this for almost 5 years. Now you got to do it again. You got to go through this one more time. Oh, that's right. Nope. I got to do it again in another trial, which they are trying to charge me $1,000 a day to give up a kid so they can kill him. They know I won't. They've already done their character deal. They already hired a psychologist, and they're like, is Joe going to give up anybody? And I actually think he already knows who it is. I think that they already know who this kid is. I'm almost positive that they know. But they want to play games, and they want to be able to put it on me. Well, once you give somebody the ability to say, I will protect you, I will never say that you're a source, and you're on the call, so I am the source now. I'm on the call. Then there's nothing left to talk about. You either believe Coomer or you believe me. It's your choice. And I knew all too well that when I walked in there, they made the judge, when the judge before he brought the jury in, the judge looked at me and said, you are in possession of the motion in limine. Yes. They warned me over and over again that you would be found, you will get in trouble if you talk about anything in there. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I testify if I'm not allowed to talk about all of this information? Did we find the post from the Denver Post, his own words? Here you go. This was published on December 8th of 2020. Apollo, what happened on December 9th, 2020? At my house.
There are some people who showed up.
Did they show up to bring me candy?
No, I think they showed up to shoot you.
They wanted to kill me. You know, I was talking to my wife about this morning. They showed up to do harm to my wife. They showed to do harm to my children. And they did it over and over and over again. And they ridiculed and they attacked. And I was pissed. Eric Coomer turned me into someone I don't ever want to be for about 1.5 years. I was angry. And in part, you go in and out of it for a couple of years. But he says in this, Eric Coomer, this is a guest commentary. So he's given, I mean, he just had, here's what happened. Dominion called him up and said, and I found out more stuff about Coomer and Dominion that now I have access to. So I got access to more information. I think that they believe, I think there's so much more. I can't say that yet. I'm going to withhold that. So withdrawn. Your Honor, withdrawn. If you go to the bottom of this, he writes this whole thing. First of all, is that what he looks like? He's a shapeshifter. Max called him a shapeshifter. He doesn't look like that. He didn't look like that at all. Okay, at all. He quotes Chris Krebs, the former director of cybersecurity, in here. Keep going up just a little bit more. And said it was the safest, most secure in American history. Attorney General William Barr has also confirmed that there's no evidence of widespread fraud and would have altered the election outcome. See how they use that? Bill Barr. And, okay. And it says that want to discredit the professional and diligent work performed by me, the company I work for, and the thousands of election workers. So they got to bring in the cavalry, put all the people in front of it. So you make sure you can discredit, you have to shoot through them first to get to me, right? Keep going down. It gets better. Gets better. The software glitch that some claim switched votes between particular candidates was an easily detected human error, induced error. This misreporting of results was not the result of a software issue, dedicated algorithm designed to change the results of the election. Like any system, there are potentials for human errors. Here's the problem. Did Eric Coomer anywhere in here state that the machines were shit? Did he say that in here at all? Did he say that? Did he say that their system is shit? But he did in emails amongst themselves. Well, he also went through emails and talked about how they could trick the certification process and make it just a different edition so that you wouldn't have to go through the process of having it checked. Anywhere in here, did he say that the systems were generated and built in Serbia? Is that in here at all? Did he talk about anything related to any other states? Georgia, anything else? Did he talk about fake ballots or fraudulent ballots? Did he talk about that? But he talked about signatories include that 59 election experts signed a statement on November 16th affirming that the 2020 presidential election was technologically secure. Is that a true statement, Apollo? I'm sorry? Okay, so he lied. They lied. It wasn't technologically secure because we've already said that it's not. Everyone's already admitted that it's not. Elon Musk is. People that are in high positions have said these things. And yet he's telling me that we got to just trust it. Just trust us. Alt media personalities, countless media, social media trolls. I want to be very clear. I have no connection to the Antifa movement. Okay, did he say that he posted the Antifa manifesto on his page? Did he say that at all? But you know that in the deposition, I'm just going to tear this apart one by one. You know, in the deposition, he said that he is Antifa, correct? So he lied. So I did not rig or influence the election, nor have I participated in any call, demonstrations, or demonstrable activity related to any political party or social justice action group. Is that true? Is his post demonstrating that he is related to a political party or social justice group? Yes or no? I can't hear you. Okay. So he lied again. All claims that someone recorded me on a call, which I never said that, or even overheard me saying, don't worry about it. See, this is where it gets interesting because they knew that I never said. See, Sidney Powell said that, and I had to correct it with an email. There was never, ever a time that I said that I recorded it. Now, man, I tell you what, I wish I would have. I wish I would have. Trump's not going to win. I made explicit. He likes the explicitives. You look at all of his Facebook page and social accounts. He loves to use those words when he's going after Melania or he's going after Trump on Twitter. I try he doesn't have a Twitter account. It's going to get to that lie here next. They're wholly fabricated. He doesn't have the capabilities to do those things. He doesn't have the capabilities to do those things. I have not written a single line of code in the Dominion voting system product. Well, who wrote it? And why did he testify to the opposite of that? Curling versus state of Georgia, I do believe. Was it curling? I think it was. The constant repetition of these baseless rumors has not only brought harm to me, but also to my family. He's not married. So what family are we talking about? The lies aim to ruin my reputation, my livelihood, my relationships, my well-being, and my life will not go unanswered. Yeah, they spent millions of dollars basically persecuting me and creating a whole group of stuff, slander and forced to flee from my home, caused my family and loved ones to fear for my safety, and I fear for theirs. Not one person at all, not one phone call, not one safety check, not one anything, not one piece of evidence to show that. Apollo, how many times? 20 times in 4 years? 7 in probably 30 days? Powder through the mail, hazmat, FBI, police, first responders, clearing my home, and ET garb. Do you think anyone even for a minute said, man, why would you attack this man's family? You want him, go for him. Why would you go after a man's family? That should be off limits, but it's not. Not for these guys. Not for these demons. But then he said that I did it for notoriety, ad revenue, and prey on the fears of public concern for the safety and security of our electoral system. I'm a system architect. I am. I'm very good at what I do. I have built models that would blow your mind. Any posts on social media purported to be from me have been fabricated. I do not have a Twitter account. But in the trial, they were put up a Twitter account. So he did what again, Apollo? He lied. And my Facebook account is not active. These individuals are impersonating me. Do you know what he did? Do you know what he did with his Facebook account after he wrote this? He deleted it. I am distressed by the willingness by so many to embrace these lies with such enthusiasm, calling out openly and loudly for the demise and even death of a fellow American who is dedicated to upholding the right of every citizen to express their voice at the ballot box. It isn't right and it must stop. This op-ed did not necessarily represent the opinions of Dominion. "12 days later, he sued me. Everything that I just said about what Eric Coomer did, I can prove. I can prove every part of it. I can prove those are his Facebook posts because he's admitted them now. I can prove that he has social media posts on Twitter because he's admitted it. He lied when he went and talked to the police. He admitted that he lied. And he didn't do so once, twice, or three times. I can also tell you that the lawyers are in part lying to the judge and misrepresenting to the judge this was an auto accident. It was not. It was a man that ran into a building and then left that building and went into a bar and drank shots of alcohol and then denied any part in it, as clear as if he was walking down the street to pick up a lollipop. And so I went in front of the judge and I went in front of the jury. Hamstrung, can't talk about anything. Not allowed to talk about that. I got admonished probably a half dozen times. And I looked at the jury and I was like, okay, let's go. And I was stressed out, man. I was totally stressed out. Keep in mind, I could have, placated Max and made it so that, I just, because Max came down. He came down for a day to testify. That's a different story. You got to hear about that too. He was 3 feet from the front door and Max McGuire was not allowed to testify. And when they took his deposition, he was pretty pissed off at me. He was really pissed. 8-year relationship just evaporating over Ukraine. The fact that I wouldn't let him post things and talk about things that normally he had full journalistic, have your way. I didn't let him. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. But it also led him to be really angry in some of his responses. And they misrepresented quite a few of those responses, including his response that they played inside the video that he had already corrected beforehand. He had corrected his testimony, and they used the false testimony rather than correcting the record. Different problem. But my job was to get up in front of the jury and tell them what I could tell them. And so I would talk about the stuff related to Facebook posts. Mr. Altman took the jury out, brought the jury back in, brought me up to the thing, says, you will answer only the question. But see, only the question wasn't enough. And so I had to find a way to talk to the jury about things. And so I would just keep going until it told me to shut my mouth. I thought I was going to jail, honestly. I thought for sure I was going to jail. I was like, there's no way they're going to let me, they're going to throw me in jail for sure. And then I was like, that's fine. What's the longest I can go to jail for? And then contempt of court, because I wasn't going to give up the Antifa kid. I wasn't going to give up who gave me access to the social post. And I didn't even know that you could use the claim the fifth. And somebody said, Joe, claim the fifth. And I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I didn't commit a crime. Well, it actually has nothing to do with committing a crime. I said, well, in all the movies, that's what it is. But I wouldn't do it. I was bent on the fact that I had gone this long with the beatings that I'd taken, and I wasn't going to cry mercy in the final hour. I was not going to say, nah, it's okay. I'm going to give this kid up. It's 5 years later. I did put out posts that said, you know, look, it's 5 years later. I know you watch my social posts. Just come forward. But I sat up there, and day one, I gave my testimony on the call, went through my notes, got bullied in a way that is not normal, and played some videos that I'm not that proud of. I'm not proud of at all. I'm not proud of them. I'm not proud of what 2021 made me. When somebody attacks your family, you become something that you don't want to become. You are determined. You are determined to hurt someone who's going to hurt your family. You've already made that decision. And I made it very clear. I won't just come for you. I will come for everyone you love. And I'll come for them probably first. So I made it very clear to everyone. And so soon after, I just got to the point where now I was emboldened to the idea that I was going to have to hurt someone that I didn't want to hurt. And I don't think anyone that's listening to this podcast understands what happens to a man when he's pushed into a corner and bullied and beaten and ridiculed, not just by the left, but adopted by the right. And then they just put the machine on. So I looked at the jury and I just told the truth. And I looked at each one of them. And the first day, the last question that he asked me, I believe, was, because there was no call, was there? And I was like, no, you're wrong. There was. And I think I said, and he was on it. And we closed for the day. We come back the next day. And I don't remember if that's what happened. He might have asked me a couple questions on the offense guy, Mike's attorney. And I came prepared because remember in the trial, they said, I heard, I saw it on X that there were comments made that there was no election fraud. Everybody, they had all these experts like Matt Crane. He's the biggest piece of shit inside of the planet. He came in there and he wanted to bully people. And he got on that stand. He said, he is the one that you must listen to. You must listen to him and don't listen to these election deniers and malinformation and misinformation. And we are the kings. Like they don't want kings. They do want kings. They want to destroy sovereignty of the individual. And by the way, this is why I get smacked down. This is why, that I don't even want to tell you what happened on Rumble. I can't even stomach it. I'm so angry at the fact that they blatantly are kind of walking around like we were told to keep Joe Altman quiet. It's true. It's not hyperbolic at all. And I'm at least collecting enough evidence. It'll be pretty easy to go back and say, I don't understand why you're doing this, but I can prove that you're doing it. Then that night, my attorney, Andrea, she was my attorney before, and let me just tell you about Andrea and Ingrid. They're my attorneys. And they called me the night before I was supposed to testify, and they're like, Joe, you just need to not show up. They told me not to show up. Actually, that's not what they said. They said, here are the consequences, which would have led a normal person to say not to show up. So I want to be really clear. My lawyers didn't say not to show up. And they weren't really my lawyers. They're my friends because they didn't represent me. I didn't sign anything with them. They were my previous attorneys. But they basically said, if you show up, she can throw you in jail. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for it. And they're like, Joe, you can't. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm good. Just, I'm ready for it, but let's go. And they said, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I got proof. They will definitely testify that. Not to the fact they told me not to show up, but the fact that they, told me that here's what's happened if you do and you don't. And this is why it's so difficult for me to be on here. And I wonder why I'm persona non grata in so many different places. I'm in exile. And I know this is a long podcast and I'm taking it like super slow. You say, Joe, you're taking it way too long on this. Okay, I might be. This is just as much therapy for me than it is for you. And so I showed up and I testified on day one, and my attorney handed me a bunch of papers, about 90 papers. And she's like, I've just been going through this stuff. And I start going through it. And she hands me a couple things. And Coomer's attorneys had filed a couple of documents in this case, in Mike Lindell's case. And one of them was an affidavit that was dated back in 2021. And keep in mind, in 2021, your brain is just on fire, man. It's like it's like lots of stuff going on all at the same time, right? It is crazy what's going on in your mind. You're less than a year in, everything's a nail. You look like a hammer. You're just hammering this crap out of everything. And, but it was an affidavit from Tay Anderson. I remember that there was an affidavit from Tay Anderson, but I didn't understand, number one, how did they get it? How did they get the affidavit? That was number one. And had they correlate it based on the notes that I had, or did I give it before the notes? So I didn't go through it. I didn't read it. I never read it, because had I read it, I would have probably brought it up in the stuff that we were doing inside of the Coomer case in the state level. And because it made sense. And so I read that, and then I read a few other things, a few other documents, and I went to Coomer's attorney, not Coomer's, but Mike's attorneys, and I was like, listen, he just said that there is no call. Well, this is the affidavit for Tay Anderson, and don't ask me why I didn't read it. Probably because I had so much stuff going on and people trying to do really bad things, and I'd left my company, and now I'm trying to fight for election fraud, and I have no idea. I have no identity. First time in the world, I am now a man with no island. I can go play football with gang members on Saturday, love on people, try to keep a part of my identity that was falling apart. Part of who I was just being stripped from me. Every board that I sat on, you're out, Joe. Get off. You need to get off. We can't have you. Sorry, bro. I know you do a lot of stuff, but yeah, juice is not worth the squeeze. You got to leave. Discarded me. 4 or 5 years sitting on boards. No, see it. And so I said, this is really important because all of my notes actually are directly related to what Tay Anderson wrote in this thing. And here's the affidavit for Tig Tigan, and here's what he said. And they're like, well, the dates are different. He's going out of town. I said, yeah, because Tig doesn't, he was out of town all the time. I just told him to pick the time that you're out of town that you think it was and go with it. Because I didn't want to adversely or influence or be prejudicial to Tig Tigan, Benghazi hero, one of my good friends. I didn't want to be prejudicial to him. I wanted him to write what he remembers related to talking to me before about the Antifa call, talking to me after about the Antifa call. Super simple, right? And if you're going to have integrity, you can't decide to just drop it off and sit down with Tig and be like, okay, here's what we do. Let's go through your calendar. Let's do all this stuff. So he wrote his own affidavit. And then I wrote my affidavit. Well, I wrote my affidavit before him. He wrote his in September. I don't remember, September or October. And they're like, well, why didn't you get this affidavit sooner? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, because it didn't make sense to me. But anyway, so go through second day. The attorney for Lindell asked me some questions about this affidavit. Like, where did you get it from? They scrambled. The judge was scrambling. The Coomer's attorney was scrambling. They had to come up with a new story. And that's what it is for them. It's just a story. Now, they could have put all this to rest, put me to rest, and said, you know what, we're gonna neutralize Oltmann right now. Coomer is a bombastic individual who likes to just spout off at the mouth. And he just decided it'd be fun to go and say that I'm gonna do this stuff, and that he really couldn't do it. That would have probably been the way that he should have done it, right? But all the stuff that I had in my notes, Tay Anderson wrote inside of his affidavit. Breonna Taylor, Joey Camp, all the things that I said, except this. At the very end, he says, yeah, I don't know who Eric Coomer is. Everyone was on video, so they weren't hidden. And Eric Coomer wasn't on the call. Pinky swear. Well, here's the problem about Tay Anderson. Tay Anderson was accused of sexually assaulting over 60 children. True story. Go look it up. Tay Anderson. Tay Anderson's also embattled for many other things. I think the death of someone was tied to, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. He's a Black Lives Matter person, Antifa person. He's on both sides. Was arrested a couple times, kicked out and disgraced in office for doing really bad things to children. That happened. So you can say whatever you want, but that's what happened. So in the middle of it, I'm like, well, why are all of you people that are for you, this guy's a pedophile that wrote this affidavit. And the court lost their mind. And the jury did too. And I was like, I'm sorry, Judge. That's the truth, though. You want me to lie? Now, this is after they had shut me down. Then on cross-examination on day 2, this is where it gets crazy. They go straight to slander me again. So I'm like, look, you just admitted that, one, Tay Anderson just had a event for Breonna Taylor. He talks about the fact that they hate Joey Camp. He literally went through all the things that were in my 4 pages of notes. Went through all of it. Hit like 8 or different things. They said there wasn't a call. They tried to fight the jury from seeing this affidavit. The judge had to go back into chambers and figure it out. It's like somebody was talking to somebody else. When she comes out, she's like, oh, sounds like you guys got to figure it out. They're going to admit this, but they also, are negotiating to admit this as well. I start talking. I look over at the judge and I'm talking, and the judge has this scowl on her face because Chris is asking me questions, Mike's attorney. And Coomer's attorneys are talking to each other, scrambling. They're freaked out. And she's scowling at him. Like, object. He looks up at her. She's scowling at him. And he goes, objection. Doesn't say what the objection is. Objection. She goes, sustained. And then she rolls her eyes and just shakes her head as she looks down at the paper. Sustained means I agree with your objection. He didn't even state an objection. Go get the case. So you got to eliminate, I'm not allowed to talk. I came very close to stepping over the line. Asked me who was on the Antifa call. I would not say. Then he said it wasn't an Antifa call, but then the next day there is one. And I looked at the jury, each and every one of them, and I told them, I am a system architect expert. Here is what they did to me. And here is what I was on the call. And every time he asked me a question, I would rebut it with, this is what happened. And this is what happened. And they would play a video and they would just come after me. And one video in particular, I just looked up at the jury and I was like, I'm not very proud of what I was in 2021. There's some things I wish I could take back. None of which have to do anything with that call that Eric Coomer was on and or all the other stuff related to it that you won't let me talk about. At the end of the day, or the first day, they asked me a question and I had to take a minute. Like I was ready to start bawling. I'm not an emotional person, but I looked at them. I think they asked me why I got involved or how I got involved. And it flooded in. Losing my friend, getting involved in the COVID deal, starting FEC United. It's as if your life flashes before your eyes and you're looking over at the jury and you can't help but just start to break down. And I didn't want to break in front of the jury. And so I looked at the judge and I was like, I need a minute. I got to take a minute. And I went in the back and I just let it all out. I let it all out. Apollo, you've seen those let it all out days. I've had a couple. Okay. I've spent a lot of time on this. I've given depositions probably 60 hours in different ways and shapes and forms across the country. I've spoken at no less than 500 events probably in that time. I have, by Coomer's attorney's own standards, I like to talk. He just likes to talk. They thought they were going to put me on the jury stand and just beat the hell out of me. Only they didn't count on the fact that I was all prayed up. I was prepared. I had already prepared myself for whatever they were going to throw at me, including like just throwing me in a hole, sending in Epstein's killer to take care of me. I was okay. I had already made the decision that I was going to do the right thing no matter what. And I don't get to the 1 yard line and chicken out. I mean, you can put a howitzer on me. It doesn't matter to me. Like I'm going to do the right thing, period. It's not up for debate. It's not negotiable. And then I got off that stand and I went in the back, and Max was supposed to testify and they wouldn't let him. And, and I went home. And I was so angry, and they're like, yeah. And then the lawyers were like, yeah, you did fine. I'm like, okay. And I was like, I did what I could. I told them the truth. And I came back to ridicule, and I had Jovan Pulitzer out there because he gets paid by someone. I think the only thing he's getting paid for right now is to ridicule me. We're going to find out. I'm going to depose him. Then Mike Lindell testified, and then Mike Lindell's friends didn't show up. And here's where it gets interesting. And I don't even know if you guys even understand how it works, like how the jury works. But you have all these questions that they have to ask. We have jury instructions. So let's put the jury instructions up real quick. Members of the jury, I previously told you in any jury there are, in effect, two judges. I am one of the judges, you are the other. I am the judge of the law, you are the jurors, and the judge of the facts. I preside over the trial and decide what evidence is proper for you to consider. It's also my duty at the end of the trial to explain to you the rules of law that you must follow and apply in arriving at your verdict. And explaining the rule of law and what you must first apply, that goes through this stuff. You're allowed to take these instructions with you to the jury deliberation room, so you need not take notes as I read them to you. Keep going. Now that you have heard the evidence of the parties' arguments, your duty is to find the facts of the evidence of the case. And the facts you must apply the following law contained in these instructions, whether you agree with them or not. And here's the difference between the law stated by the lawyers and the law in these instructions. You are governed by my instructions. Okay? My instructions. The decision you reach applying the laws and the instructions to the facts as you find them is called a verdict. Keep going. You must not read into these instructions or anything I say or do as suggestions as to what verdicts you to return. Your verdict's a matter entirely for you to decide. You perform your duties as jurors without bias or prejudice to any party. The law does not permit you to be controlled by sympathy, bias, or public opinion. It's important you discharge your duties without discrimination, meaning that bias regarding race, color, religious beliefs, origin, national origin, sexual origin, gender identity, or gender of the parties or witnesses, and the lawyers play no part in the exercise of your judgment. You have taken an oath, promise to do so. Got it. These instructions of law, it says concerned with the wisdom of the law. This is all, by the way, on all the socials. The court does not, by these instructions, express any opinion as to what or has not been proved in the case, or as what are or are not the facts of the case. See that? Does not, by these instructions, express an opinion. Keep going. This is going to get you. Any fact of finding must be based on probability, not possibilities. Should not guess or speculate about a fact. Evidence of the case. Deciding the facts must consider only the evidence received at trial. Evidence offered at the trial rejected by or stricken by the court must not be considered. Statements, remarks, arguments, and objections by counsel and remarks of the court not directed to you are not evidence. You are to consider the evidence in the case and a reasonable inference in the evidence. Your inference is a conclusion that follows as a matter of reason and common sense from the evidence. Okay. So this had stuff, some evidence in the case may be admitted only for limited purpose. You may consider these pieces of evidence only for limited purpose. You also heard evidence about settlement which was reached and unrelated. Go through that. Up. Defamation case between the plaintiff and a news organization called Newsmax, which is not a part of this case. Other than otherwise stipulated, you should not speculate about the details of that case or any other terms and condition of that case. So this is evidence in electronic format. It just goes through instruction number 7. Keep going. Stipulated facts. Ready? Before the trial, the court had a conference with lawyers and all the parties. The conference of parties entered into certain stipulation of agreements at which they could agree without further proof. Plaintiff Coomer was employed by Dominion. Keep going. Keep going. You can read all this stuff too. This is all just go up. Mr. Oldman met Lindell in February 2021. You're going to see my name a lot throughout this whole thing. Oldman started using a promo code CD21. April 30th, 2021, Coomer settled his defamation lawsuit with Newsmax. Literally, they just wanted out, right? They wanted to run away from it. Not including provision related to Lindell or My Pillow. Keep going. Okay, Altman, Moore interview, Frank speech, Altman, Newsmax, Altman. Here's some more. Lindell, Symposium, Altman, David Clements, Altman. Oh, there's more for Altman. Lots of Altmans. Now, all of this stuff will be the stuff that was said. And then you'll get to the glossary, arbitration, docs or doxing. Keep going. Direct and indirect evidence. The finding of the court. I don't know where that is on this. Let's keep going. Depositions as evidence. Okay. Now let's go to the jury. Let's go to the jury questions. Can we do that? We'll start with My Pillow. And we're going to jump back and forth if we can. Can we jump back and forth with this? No? All right. So we're going to do this just for My Pillow. Yeah, let me actually, yeah. So this is claim 1, defamation per se, defendant My Pillow Inc. As plaintiff provided, set forth the instructions, defendant My Pillow defamed him by publishing at least one of the statements listed below. For each statement marked yes, if you'll find a plaintiff that has proven a claim for defamation against defendant My Pillow as a statement. May 3rd statement by Altman House, no. May 9th statement by Lindell, no. Statement by Altman and Clements, no. Statement by Clements, no. Statement by Lindell, no. Statement by Lindell, no. Statement by Peters, no. Statement by Lindell, no. If you answered yes to at least one of these questions under Claim 1, please complete the remainder of this form. As plaintiff proven, set forth instructions under 37 is claim for intentional interference with emotional stress, no. They have civil conspiracy against it, no. And then damages, defendant My Pillow. Do you find beyond reasonable doubt the defendant My Pillow acted in fraudulent, malicious, or willful or wanton manner? No. Now, by the way, remember the 6 things that you had to have in order to defer and say that there was defamation? None of those are in here. Okay, so let's go back. Now let's go to the next one if we can. Go, get out of there. Because we want to go to the one that's just on. Now go to the one that's Mike Lindell. On the issue of Coomer against statements by Altman House, again, related to me, were those defamatory? Defamation against defendant Lindell. Doesn't mean I didn't say it, because I did. Now, if we go to, can you go to number 26, instruction number 8, paragraph 26? This is related to me. You got to switch back and forth. Sorry. Yep. Page points 11 to 22 on the jury instructions are Joe Altman, related to me. Point 26 is related to me. It tells me that I live in Colorado, that I infiltrated an Antifa call. So it's all about me. This entire trial was about me. What I repeated, what I said. Now go to 26. 26 was specific to this. During the interview that aired on Frank's speech, and so I was on the call back in middle of end of September. And on that call, it was weird call to be on because it became clear there's a lot of rhetoric that's thrown around all over the place. And I came in and people started speaking. Someone interrupts a guy named Eric, and somebody asks the guy named Eric, who is this guy named Eric? And somebody answers, Eric is the Dominion guy. So I take very, very good notes, and I started taking notes, writing down all the information that I was gathering. Somebody interrupts after and said, go ahead, Eric. And somebody interrupts and said, what are we going to do if effing Trump wins? And Eric responds, don't worry about the election. Trump's not going to win. I made effing sure of it. And then they all started laughing, right? So that's number 26. Now go back to the thing with Mike Lindell. And it says, oops, up a little. And what does it say? No. Then you have the statements related to Clements. No. Statements related to Lindell. No. Statements related to Lindell. No. Statements related to Lindell. Is that the right one? Wait, May 9th, you have to go up because you had one May 9th statement that is a yes. Right? Yep, there we go. April 6th statement by Lindell. April 6th statement. Let me just tell you what that is, number 40. No, is it May? No, it's the one above it too. There's a May 9th one above it. So this says, Lindell on the report of Frank's speech. So everybody, if you want to know how corrupt the corruption we're up against, Eric Coomer has served papers on me before he was going on stage at the Capitol. I've never talked about Eric Coomer. He's the president of Dominion, the criminal crime family here in Denver. Who knows what he did there? But anyway, he serves papers, everybody. He has sued everybody. Ready for this? Mike Lindell, Frank's speech, and my pillow. Eric Coomer, you are a criminal. Eric Coomer, your lawyers better look out. I'm not putting up with this. My pillow does not even know who you are. My employees, I have 2,700 employees. Shame on you, Coomer. You did a very, very stupid move, Mr. Coomer. You're going to be the first one right behind Raffensperger and Jenny Griswold behind bars. You're number one on my list. You go after my employees, blah, 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 blah. My name's not in there, right? It doesn't say anything about the call. Okay? Now, the other one was on May 3rd. You just go to this and I'll just go through this. May 9th, sorry. And that's paragraph 28. Can you go to paragraph 28? Yeah, it's going to go quick. There we go. 28. 28 appeared in an interview aired on Frank's speech where he made the following statement. Go up. It's over for Dominion. It's too late. You closed the gate. The cows are out of the barn. Dominion, you did your best. A smart mag, take your country through China. And yeah, Eric Coomer, what's his name? And I'm telling you, the Coomers of the world, what's his name? Yeah, Eric Coomer. And right now, instead of going over and making deals with Newmax, why don't you I'm turning myself in and turn in the whole operation. So maybe, just maybe, you'll get immunity and you'll only get to do, 10, 20 years. So again, does it talk anywhere in here about a call? Now here's the bad part about it. There is no case and this is, I think, where it got a little confusing for those people. In this, they gave him damages of non-economic losses, $144,000, and a total of claimant damages for economic losses that were caused by the conduct of defendant Lindell, $296,000. So roughly $400,000 for that. And then they said, did you find without reasonable doubt that acted in a fraudulent, malicious, or willful or wanton manner in causing the plaintiff's damages? Okay. Go to number 4. Go to number 4C. 4C. On that. Down. Now, what are the things that you have to have if you go up a little, up. Let me just hold on a second. Claim 2. So let's go to claim 1. Go up a little bit more. So did you defamation per se? In other words, did you defame him per se? Right? In other words, yes. So this is how you're supposed to come to a conclusion. Ready? Keep going down. So yes, they said that per se you got the defamation claim, right? Keep going. Keep going. I think they missed this. Claim 2, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Did he commit emotional distress against defendant? What did he say? What did he say? No. Go to the next one. 3A, has plaintiff provided a set instruction of civil claim for civil conspiracy? No. 4A, okay, what's the total amount of, if any, for non-economic losses or injuries that were caused by the conduct of defendant Lindell? $144,000. What was the amount of the plaintiff's damages for economic losses or conduct of Lindell? $296,000. Do you find beyond a reasonable doubt defendant acted in a fraudulent, malicious, or willful, wanton manner to cause the plaintiff damages? What does that say, Apollo? What's that? So how in the world do you have defamation per se, but It has to rise to the level of being malicious, which means you get no damages. Right? Are we right? Am I wrong? So it should be no. Now let's go to the Frank speech one. I'm not sure that they actually got this one right either. Go to the Frank speech one. Is this Frank's speech? All right. Again, same questions, statements by Altman House. I stated what happened on the call. They believed me. They said, is that defamation? Do we find defamation? The answer is no, which means they believe every word that I said. Now, keep in mind, you had the motion in limine that prevented me from actually talking about things that I could have cleared it up. I could have been like, just play the video. There's Coomer. Just play that. Do that. Let's bring in all the other stuff about Coomer. Let's talk about Coomer, right? May 9th statements by Lindell. Again, May 9th statement, same one, yes. Go down. Go down. August 12th statements by Clements, yes. April 6th statements by Lindell, yes. Okay? So those three things. Now, if you answer no to every question under Claim 1, your deliberations for the verdict come to a complete, you sign the form. If you answered yes to at least one question under Claim 1, please complete the remainder of the form. Has plaintiff moved his claim for intentional infliction of emotional stress to defendant, Frank's speech? And they said yes. Okay? Not based on anything that I said, because they believed everything that I said, but based on the fact that they went after Coomer on the symposium. They used the sword, so to speak, of their platform in order to go after Coomer. Has plaintiff moved set forth a civil conspiracy against defendant? No. So then it goes into damages. What is the total amount of plaintiff damages for non-economic losses? $432,000. What's the total amount of plaintiff damages of economic loss that were caused by the conduct of defendant Frank's speech? $1,133,000. Do you find behind a reasonable doubt the defendant Frank's speech acted in a fraudulent, malicious, or willful and wanton manner to cause the plaintiff damages? Yes. Please go to D. If you answered yes, how much the punitive damage? They said $300,000. You can read the whole thing if you want. No matter what you say, I got both hands tied behind my back, both feet tied behind my back. They attacked me with impunity for 2 full days. And out the other end of it, 8 jurors in Blue, Colorado came to the same conclusion that I told the truth and that he was lying. They have their own affidavit. Now in a separate case, I've got to go and they're going to say you have to violate your journalistic duty. And I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And they're now saying that I got to pay $1,000 a day and that they're going to attack me with impunity. And I'm going to stand up there and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to say, I understand. I will not give up anyone else to be subjected to what I've been subjected to for 5 years. Now, there is this res judicata, which says that it's already been decided. It's already been decided that I'm truthful. It's already been decided that I am, that the jury found in my favor. It's already been decided. Now, what they're saying is, wow, you're not the plaintiff in this deal. You're not a party. So either you can punish someone that is a party or you can exonerate someone that is not a party, but you can't do both. You can't take someone and say in one case and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to find you if you don't give up information that it's not in this case. But over here, they already found that you're credible and Coomer's not. And that's in essence what happened. So there you go. There's the case in a nutshell. And boy, am I drained. I am drained. So you get to decide. Who's telling the truth? And every time I get on this podcast, it's not the truth that comes out when you get guys like Jovan Pulitzer, right? That little trash heap that's never accomplished anything in his life, has no family, has no friends. Now they've long abandoned him. He had to change his name. He grifted and took money from people like New Hampshire and everywhere else. You know, those are the people that stand up and say, oh, he look at his notes and, where's the call? You caused these damages. He uses hyperbolic and inflammatory statements, and I'm going after him. Don't worry. Do not worry. I'm a very patient person. And I know someone's paying them. I don't know who, but we'll find out. We'll find out. But at the end of the day, I got to sit in front of 8 jurors from a very blue Colorado. Would you agree it's blue, Apollo? And all 8 of them agreed at the same, all 8 of them said that what I said was credible because it was credible. And they found Coomer, even without all the information about Coomer. If they would have known all the stuff about Coomer, if they would have had the motion in limine, which by the way, I'm not a party to it, I should never have been subjected to it. They asked me a question, I answered the question. I should have been able to go into the Facebook post. I had boxes of information related to cases of election fraud. I had information on the Democracy Seat 5.0 that I have in 5.1 that was inside of my box. I was prepared to go through all the stuff related to system architecture. I was related to go through all that stuff. And every single time that they would ask me a question, I had an answer for it because I know what I'm talking about. But they spend the entire case 2 weeks defaming me over and over and over again. You got to read the transcript. And then had people on the outside do the biddings for them. And that's when I know that it doesn't matter if you're left or right. There's a machine. There's a certain people in position of power. They're pulling all the strings. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson had an interview with Ted Cruz. By the way, Tucker, I'll have an interview with you. I'll sit down. I'll answer any question you have to ask me. Any. You can ask me any of them. And I want Coomer's lawyers to go talk to Tucker Carlson. I've already made a decision that I'm going after all the news sites. I'm going after all of them. And frankly, people are like, Joe, how are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm probably going to come to you guys. Say, you want in? I want to do a lawsuit, and I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about Tucker Carlson. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. All right. I'm going to address this. I love when you just sit and talk to us like adults by yourself. It's so much more enjoyable without getting cut off. Okay, so let me, the best is yet to come. Let me give you some perspective. You've listened to me for 5 years. I'm 50 years old. I love the Lord with everything. I've been through a lot over the last 5 years. If you were to call any organization, if you were to call any organization that is out there, a Christian organization, they will tell you their attendance is in half, that they have a hard time bringing young people to the table. They're not listening because they don't want to listen to someone that's 50 or 60 years old. They're knee deep in going to TikTok and all these other places. And although I do extend out, and I am very much so connected to the youth of not only our country, but other countries, I think we have to start bringing people together, and I needed a youthful spirit, and Matt's a youthful spirit, and he is actually really smart. He is, sometimes he has the autistic side, and sometimes he has the artistic side, and he's not always going to get it right. And you're not the only one that struggles with me having a different dynamic on this show. Apollo struggles with it. JC saw, everyone struggles with it. Like, who is this new guy? It's like the new guy theory. And I'm like, just give it time. It will meld itself. Well, I don't like the way he does things. And, and I'm like, well, what is our job? What is my job? Is my job to sit on here and talk to people who always agree with me? Is not my job to bring people to a place where they can understand the truth? Is that not my calling? Is not, by serving as an example and walking that path, required of me to make sure that I bring people together, not push people apart? You struggle with it because you want to hear what I have to say. And the reason why this has to be the way it is, and this is the way forward, is because what I have to say is not as important as what other people need to hear in order to get to a place where they're willing to listen. And just like young people will not listen to you when you go talk, sometimes old people won't listen to young people, or they just like, I don't like it. I don't like the dynamic. I don't like this. You have to have patience. You have to have the ability to say, okay. And there's no difference in this. There's zero difference in what I'm telling you to do than what you would have to do if we were pack animals. Like we're a pack. And now I brought someone else to the pride. And some of you don't like it. And I'm like, listen. We're listening. Matt is listening to you. He takes everything that I say inside of this conversation. He listens to me. And frankly, he has gotten a couple million people to follow him, and he hasn't been canceled. And I've been canceled every which way to Sunday. Yet he recognized, and he says very clearly, Joe brings credibility to my ability to have a podcast. And I say to him, you bring credibility on my ability to talk to young people. And he does. He's the cool kid, the Doge, Bitcoin, and he understands things that I have cursory knowledge of. Doesn't drink, doesn't cheat on his wife, has 3 children, loves the Lord, doesn't necessarily do everything right, but who did at 26? And I'm committed to him. And if you're committed to me and listening to these conversations, you have to be committed to him too. You don't have to like everything he says, but you don't like everything I say. And so we are going to be bringing more guests on. Yes, we're going to bring more guests on. But you have to use your eyes to see and your ears to hear. And I'm listening to you. I read every single one of your deals. I just read them all. Okay. Do you sell the burner rifles? New case. Yes, I do. He'll grow up in some ways eventually. He will. How many times do you guys get disconnected from your children? How many? How many of you have children that you don't even talk to? I don't. My son and I don't agree on everything. But I'm starting to realize that what I say on this show matters to my son. He's listening to me. And so I'm going to do the best I can to be a good example for you. I'm going to apologize for the fact that how I acted in 2021, the fact that I was fiery. But I'm going to do what I think is right. You do have to remember his age. But you also have to remember the fact that he's not a malicious person. And that what he's giving you is perspective. And it's pretty good perspective. And again, I don't like all of it either. And I just told you, everyone here has a hard time with dynamics that I'm forcing into the family. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about Tucker. You gave me a chance 4.5 years ago. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Okay. I'm not a fan of Ted Cruz. I'm not a fan of anybody that says Israel, Israel, Israel. And I'm less of a fan of someone that uses the Bible in order to justify it. This is why people hate me. Ted Cruz, and by the way, Matt is my friend. And Apollo is my friend. Apollo is my brother. Matt may become my brother. Apollo is my brother. I mean, and I still get to make decisions that he doesn't like. Okay, now I'm done talking about it. Who's in there? Ryan, you got something to do? Ted Cruz is probably having one of the worst interviews of his life because it exposed a lot. Kind of like the saying that misinformation, disinformation, all the things that happened. Tucker did a 2-hour interview. And in that interview, he fumbled, bumbled, deflected the entire time. And everyone went and attacked who? Who did they attack? Apollo, who did they attack, brother? Who did AIPAC come for? Is Apollo in there or is he gone? In the interview, afterwards. They didn't attack Ted Cruz for being a bumbling idiot. They attacked Tucker. All right. So let's start off this. This is the question that Tucker asked to start with. Fire interview. Everyone that has watched this interview, watch the whole thing. Watch the entire thing. He started off by Tucker asking Cruz why it's so hard that he not say that it's not okay for foreign governments to spy on our president. Let's go ahead and start there. Let's start this. Play it.
Does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other, and I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us, and I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that, and by the way, I'm not mad at them. But you're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know. Hold on, I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion.
I said guiding, the overwhelming. I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
it is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest.
But I just want to stop on this flying for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the President of the United States and several precedents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. Is that, it's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
You want to know why they? I said this yesterday when I was sitting in the car. I was like, if somebody can come over here and just explain to me where the chess pieces are on the table, tell me what the outcome's going to be, tell me why it's going to be there, and give me an output, the variable that protects my brothers and sisters in this country, black, brown, blue, yellow, purple, liberal, conservative, I don't care, babies in this country. If you can give me something that shows that opportunity in the future is being preserved, I may play ball. I may get on this show and say, all right, here's what I know. Let's give it a chance. And you may all call me you may call me out after that. But if they could prove to me that that's the case, but they can't prove to me that this guy doesn't have his own voice, because he doesn't, because he wouldn't answer the question. He later called out Ted Cruz on AIPAC, to which Cruz insisted that AIPAC is not a foreign lobby. You got to see this. Go ahead and play it.
So I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel?
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship. Is AIPAC
a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC, I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No, not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's objectively
when was the last time AIPAC took a position that deviated from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AIPAC,
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets...
No, I'm not going to do a simple...
I want to get to the core question. AIPAC is lobbying for a foreign government. And I don't... It's not.
No.
It's lobbying for the United States.
It is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Okay. So it's not has nothing to do with the foreign government.
It wants America and Israel to be closely allied.
Okay, but it's lobbying on behalf of the interests of another country.
So that's not true at all. And if
it's not true.
No.
How much contact do you think AIPAC leaders have with the government of Israel?
No idea. I imagine some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AIPAC because AIPAC's not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AIPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure. Like if...
So I'm not mad about that. There are a million countries that lobby Washington. I like a lot of those countries, including Israel.
But AIPAC are Americans. They're not Israelis.
Hold on. There are tons of Americans who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. I know them. I'm related to some of them. I know how it works. I'm from here. So my question is not, is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay, including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah,
and
why aren't you're saying is false.
Why aren't they registered as a foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
All right, who here thinks that they're representing foreign lobbyists? They're a foreign lobbyist. Anyone? Anyone at all? Allie, it's good to see you again. Go back and watch the whole thing, Alex. I know you missed part of it. You're going to want to see it. Tell James that he still can't beat me in ping pong and he can't beat me in basketball. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Jewish or Jewish? I get it. Jewish or Jewish. Some of the comments are really funny. Dave, I see you as well, by the way, over there talking about what they're doing. Okay. This is not a anti-Israel. And that's not what Tucker's getting to. What he's getting to is that the people of Israel are held hostage. How many times in the last 8 years has the government of Israel collapsed? How many times? Who's going to give it to me? Who's going to give it to me in the comments? How many times? Yes. 5. 5 times in the last 8 years, political instability has rocked Israel. Today, you could walk the street, run into 10 people, and about 7 out of those 10 people will all have a different opinion, and none of them will actually support Netanyahu or the government of Israel. 7 out of 10. Now, they're forced into this idea that they get bullied a little harder than most. Now, I'm gonna play this last part here, and it's super important you understand this. This isn't the last part, but this is the part that's going to get into the Bible. Because Noel, you sent me a bunch of stuff saying that I got to support Israel because it's biblical. All right. Well, this is Ted Cruz trying and failed to use the Bible to justify support for Israel's bombing of Iran. Tell me what's wrong with this. Let's go ahead and play it.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on. Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is
there.
silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
Okay, the Bible that he's referring to, it's Genesis 12, 1 through 3. Let me just go through it for you. Let me just go ahead and pull this up real quick. Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those that bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all people on earth will be blessings through you. Okay? Now, who knows that I love Galatians? I love Galatians. Galatians 4:16 says, am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? I have become the enemy of a lot of people because I've sat here and told you the truth. But if you go to Galatians 3:16, and I want to say thank you to JC for writing this stuff up because this is perfect. The promises were spoken to Abraham and to his seed. Scripture does not say and to seeds, meaning many people, but and to your seed, meaning one person who is who? Who's that one person? That one person is Christ. And in John 14:6, which is in the Gospels, one of the first 4 books of the New Testament, says, no one comes to the Father except through him, referring to Jesus Christ. So let me ask you guys a question. How does a country that was formed and founded in 1948 by human hands at the end of a destructive war, World War II, where tens of millions of people died in that war, to an end we still haven't figured out? Like, what was the outcome? What was the reason? Matter of fact, every history book is divided on what the reason was behind going to this war in World War I and World War II, and what is almost inevitably to be World War III, by diabolical people who call themselves atheists, who stand up on stage in the World Economic Forum and tell us over and over again that they will become the gods, while spitting on Christians and those that follow Jesus. And even Muslims follow Jesus. Isa al-Masih, Jesus the Messiah, shows up more times in the Quran than it does in the Bible. And many people are like, oh, Muslims don't pray to the same God. If you know anything about the history of Christianity and Islam and Judaism, it comes out of the same thing. It comes out of the words of Genesis. Genesis means beginning. Nobody ever talks about the Dead Sea Scrolls. No one ever uses the Bible in such a way that it allows for us to understand that we cannot serve a nation that was created by man. God did not come down and create the nation of Israel. Men did, and Harry Truman put his seal of approval and recognized it as its own state, as its own country, while banishing people from their land into areas called Gaza. But Gaza's not the only place. It was like they came in and just created these areas. It was a country that was heavily, if not entirely, funded by the United States. You cannot sit here and tell me that I have to support Israel, because I will not. And here's a few more verses if you want to be selective. And you can be mad at me. I got people that are just like dropping like flies right now. So angry. So angry at me. And by the way, before you get to Romans, and don't just say Romans 2, let's go to Romans 11. But Romans comes after what? You know, you cannot run through Scripture. Look, I'm a pretty smart guy. I don't know. You give me some crayons and a board. I mean, I won't eat the crayons. Apollo will. He'll eat them for me. And he's smarter than I am. So if he's eating the crayons, I can't do my work. So maybe then I could come to the conclusion that I get to support diabolical means of killing innocent people and bullying people with impunity, because that's what these Jewish people have done. You want to know why I'm getting bullied? You know why they're attacking me? You want to know why judges are doing what they're doing to me? You know why they sit up there? It's because somebody knocks on the door and says, go after Altman. That guy is speaking truth in a way that is dangerous. And if we don't get his voice under control, we are going to have problems. That is why they have killed so many people. And that's why I keep a record. That's why I have a podcast. That's why I want to pass it down to other people. I want to be an example to others, and I want to do what's right. You can talk to me about Romans, but you cannot get to Romans except for through John. And if you go to John and you read it, it is very clear. How are you going to get to God if you do not go through Jesus? And if Jews don't believe in Jesus, how the heck are they going to get to the Lord? They have to accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, right? So how do you get there? I'm just asking you a question. As a Christian guy, how do you get there? And you can be whatever Christian you want, Protestant, Catholic. I'm going through the RCIA process. I believe that Jesus literally was the example that I need to follow. And I want to get to the Father, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get there. I don't actually, and you can say, oh, there is no God. And I would say, hedge your bets. Because I know there is. Galatians 3:26-29, if you are all sons of God through faith in Jesus Christ. For as many of you were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Who's the chosen one? Is it those that seek peace, or is it those that seek war? Because understanding war, being ready for it, and liking that you have to go through it in order to get the peace are two different things. But we don't ever get the peace with these people. Romans 9:6-8 says, remember, you just ran by. I'm going to run by your Romans 2. I'm going to get to your Romans 11. We're going to stop by Romans 9 real quick. But it is not that the word of God has taken no effect, and they are not all Israel who are of Israel, nor are they children because they are the seed of Abraham, nor are they all children because they are the seed of Abraham. But in Isaac your seed shall be called, that is, whose are in the children of the flesh. These are not the children of God, but the children of the promise are counted as the seed. Romans 10:12-13. For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich to those who call upon him. For whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. How do you walk past that? Oh, let me just get it. It's just somewhere in Genesis. Actually, if you're what's his face? What's this guy's name? I forgot his name already. The guy that looks like a rat. Ted Cruz. If you're Ted Cruz, you say that you're a Christian man. You say, I was raised and I went to, and you can't even tell me where it states in the Bible that you have to bless Israel. You don't even know when the country was created. And he said 70 years ago. You're wrong. It's actually 78 years ago. And it was in 1947, 1948 that it was actually proclaimed. And let me go even further. 1 Peter 2:9-10. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him, capital H, who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. For once were not a people, but are now the people of God, who are not ordained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Or John 1:12-13. But as many have received him, to them he gives the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Your body is a vessel. Your body is, it's flesh and blood. We walk past the DNA, the God gene that you find, that Harvard was able to find when going through the DNA, and find the literally the word of God in the word God in the DNA. Is that not true, Apollo? Am I wrong? And to make that matters worse, this is going to be the longest podcast this time to man. To make matters worse, Ted Cruz doesn't know anything about Iran. He was asked this question. Go ahead and play it.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the
They're
Tucker
Persian.
Carlson
They're in Persia,
expert on
you
Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
this is
Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
What did he say about Shia? Did he not say Shia? Majority of Shia. Is that an ethnicity? You're a retard. Shia is a sect of Islam. You stupid retard. This is my problem with them. And in all the years that I spent over in the Middle East, I've met very few of them that I don't like. And you'd say, Joe, they're terrorists. And I'd say, okay, well, I broke bread with a terrorist. I sat with President al-Bashir and had tea. That's a true story. Ate food, sat at his table inside of his palace. I met with, deputy foreign ministers and kings and presidents and, from North Africa to East Africa to West Africa. People are like, how in the hell is this guy doing this stuff? It's because I was really, really, really good. They'd ask me to solve a problem and I would solve it. And I loved the people while I solved it. Even when they did bad things to me, I still loved them. And frankly, I'm smarter than most of those people that got their PhDs in whatever, engineering from Harvard. It doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. It's not an indicative of intelligence. It's not. I came from bad stock, still pretty smart, really smart. I'm smart enough to know that Shia is a religious sect. It is not an ethnicity. He's like, they're Persians. No way. Really? Are you serious? Yeah, they're Persians. But are there Persians in other parts of the place that not in Iran? Yes. Yes. You got Arabs, you got Balochs, there's like a ton of different groups in Kurds. What else? Help me out here. Who else? Turks. I feel like you even have Jews. Oh my gosh. You have Jews in Iran. Who would have thought that there'd be Jews in Iran? You know how many ethnicities there are? There's like 50. It's like a melting pot. Well, they're all Persian. No, they're Shia. No, they're not. They're not. And is there persecution against Christians there? Absolutely, 100%. Yep. There is. And sometimes Christians do bad things and do things, and sometimes Muslims do bad things, and I don't agree with all of their rules or laws and the Sharia and all that. I don't think it's right. I think that they're having to come to the dance. They've gone off the deep end. I don't believe any of what they're doing to suppress their people would be good. But then again, with they're suppressing people in the United States, I'm under constant attack. What does that say about America? And how about the overthrow of governments and the fact that you want to bomb the hell out of 90 million people and you don't even know how many people are there? You act like it's just 5 people sitting in a room with a bunch of nukes and you can just drop bombs on them and not tell people what the outcome's going to be, which is complete genocide of over 40 different ethnicities. And yet, Slava Israel. And oh, you're an anti-Semite. I am not an anti-Semite. I am not here to take a side for Iran or for Israel. I'm here to stand up and say, you bunch of little babies, sit down, shut up, and come to a peaceful agreement that will lead to the prosperity for people of both nations. But they've never been able to do that. And the rhetoric that gets created and the propaganda that we deal with in both our elections and the stolen elections and the fact that we are slaves to Israel. We do not actually make our own rules. We are slaves to a group of people who represent less than 2.2% of our population that rule us like kings. And the No King movement is run by 2 people who happen to be Jews, who, again, are faithless Jews. They're atheists. They don't believe in God. And you know who gets to pay the price? A young man and a young woman that are walking out of the Holocaust Museum who are Jewish Christians. They were Christians. They were Jews that believed in the cloth and the saving that comes through accepting Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Those are our victims. I'm angry about it. In a big way. All right, let's go to the next piece. Let's play the next one real quick.
And I see an unending string of foreign policy disasters that have impoverished and hurt our country.
Unending string.
Unending string. They would include Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and our inability to stop the Houthis, by the way, in Yemen, which exposes us as weak, and I grieve over that. So these are failures. You helped preside over some of them as a member of the Senate.
What failures, foreign policy failures, have I presided over?
Well, we were unable to beat Russia in the war that you supported against Russia. You've been spending the last 3 years telling us that Vladimir Putin is evil and we're going to beat him with other people's children, and 1 million of those kids are now dead. You've never apologized for that. That was a full failure.
By the way, look, the level of number of falsehoods you lay out just in one statement are rather.
You haven't supported the war against Russia?
Are rather stunning. So the war against Russia was caused, which I have explained at great detail, by Joe Biden's weakness.
But you supported the war.
If you want to talk, we can talk Russia and Ukraine. I'm happy to talk about it.
Do you think that's been a success?
No, it's been an absolute disaster.
Okay, but you supported it. Shouldn't you apologize?
No, you should apologize. I'm not going to engage in the demanding of apologies. So
But I'm like, that's my point. Is all these failures and no one ever says I'm sorry.
Matter, or do you just throw out like you? If you want to talk, we can talk.
Okay, I do. I want to know why that seems like a true disaster for the United States.
Hey, Apollo, can you come on here for a minute? Pause for effect. Okay. He's busy. Have I ever had an interview where I dib, and had to reset myself and ask for apologies and basically get so tied up in the fact that I don't have an answer because I'm so shallow and stupid and I support something that I know that just ethically you cannot support? Have that ever happened to me? I've never seen you have a Ted Cruz moment.
I hope to God I've never had a Ted Cruz moment, man. This whole interview is really, really bad.
I am not anti-Semitic. I am anti-Bibi. I am anti what they have done to our country and capturing it and treating us like slaves. A vast majority of those private equity firms are run by Jewish people. They're atheists that then decided that they were going to take away the voice of the American people. Colorado is one of the worst, and it just so happens that everyone at the top of Colorado is who? They're all Jewish people. Faithless idiots. Really bad people. Jared Polis, faithless idiot. Really a bad guy. Jenna Griswold, faithless idiot. I mean, just a really terrible human being, besides being stupid. Phil Weiser, who I thought was actually a nice guy way back when I met him, a long time ago. I was like, and I met Jared Polis a long time ago. I was like, he's okay. Everyone hated him in the tech world. I was like, he's kind of a nice guy. He's all right. Well, he's gay. I don't care if he's gay. It's not my ass he's looking at. Sorry. I've never had the moment because I operate in conviction, and I think that I operate and make sure that I have understanding about what's really happening. And all I get from the left and all I get from them is that I have to support Israel. Slava Israel. Slava Ukraine. Ukraine's a mess. Over 1 million children have died. Tucker Carlson spelled it out very beautifully, actually. And yet, you know who attacked Tucker Carlson? Everyone. You got Laura Loomer that came after him. I mean, I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me. Laura, I think you're wrong. I think you saw this wrong. It's okay to support a nation that is our ally and still say, sit down, you stupid little punks. It's also okay to realize that 2.2% of your population should not have over 40% of the people in positions of power and authority in our judiciary. And you shouldn't have a radical left agenda that gets permeated all the way through our education system in such a way that people don't have opportunities. Where scholarships are giving out to foreigners, because frankly, some of the foreigners that are coming over here are just not that bright. Sorry, that's the truth. Where we give scholarships and then we just basically we make slaves of the Americans. And if you're white, Jews aren't white anymore. I forgot. When we run down the street from now on, if I see a big nose on someone, I'm going to be like, hey, do you recognize, can you give me a description of him? I was like, yeah, he's about 5'4" because he's Jewish. 5'4" Jew running down the street. Can you give me a color? Jew. It's the color is Jew. He's a 5'4" Jew. He's a color Jew. It's a color of Jew. I mean, are you serious? Am I wrong, Apollo?
No, I mean
they're white. White. They're white.
White
white
passing.
as hell.
They're white passing.
Huh?
They're white passing. That's the term nowadays.
White what?
White passing.
White passing.
Yeah. Remember?
Okay.
Remember that was the new version.
How do you know he's a Jew? He's got a big nose. Big nose. Yeah, I think it is 5'4". And then you know what's going to happen? You're going to pick him up, and he's going to be someone from Bronx that's Italian. He'd be like, "Man, why are you talking to me like? What are you doing here? Why you got to call me a Jew? I'm an Italian. I ain't a Jew. What are you doing? I got my nose by accident. It just fell, and my nose got flat, and it got longer. I mean, come on. Sorry, that's totally inappropriately appropriate. We debate the stupid, the ridiculous. We haven't decided that we're going to talk about reality. And we're not going to do the right thing because why would we? As long as it's Slava Ukraine, Slava, you know what? And I came out and I said, I'm for Russia every day, twice on Sunday. They said, oh, you're so simp for Russia. I was like, no, I'm for the fact that you have biolabs and a lot of bad people that are there basically killing their own people. And you don't know jack shit about Ukraine. I could ask 100 of those people just the basic information about the Maidan coup and what happened. They wouldn't know. Would you know that the Dominion makes all their software in Serbia? They wouldn't know that either. You wouldn't know any of it because they're ignorant. And Cruz is ignorant. Okay, Hegseth had something to say about Pocahontas. He went up against Pocahontas today, and when she he just went after her. I'm here to say this right now. I'm going to say this while I'm on the air right now. President Trump, if we don't get Tina Peters out of jail, and we don't stop the weaponization of media and the weaponization of what they're doing right now to basically steal from the American people, we have no country to come back to. And in 2026, if we don't get rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots, if we don't want to start resetting some of the evil that's been done to us, whether you have to tear it out and act like the bully or not, I don't care. What I care about is the fact that we're debating the ridiculous. And where you could sit here and say that, oh yeah, I'm going to believe all this stuff. You could get on the side of saying Israel good and Iran bad. I think you're making a mistake. Now, I won't rise to the level of saying that I'm not going to give you a free pass because you have bigger information than I do. But I'm going to tell you that you cannot justify what is happening in this country. If we are not a captured nation, show us. Get to the table, make sure everybody sits down, get Bibi on one side, tie his hands up, tie the Ayatollah's hands up, and say, we're going to stop shooting these rockets. And if we don't, nothing good is going to happen in 2026. This chaos is going to lead to ultimately civil war. And frankly, I don't think that the Jewish people that are in power right now, Jewish people, are going to fare very well with the American people, black, white, green, yellow, purple, because they're all waking up. And no matter what we do on social media, you're not going to be able to undo the bell once it's rung. And I'm talking about people that are even Jewish who have had enough of the Jewish. Go ahead, play it.
Secretary Hegseth, if the president wanted to deploy Marines to Chicago and New York City like he did in Los Angeles, would you carry out that order even if the local governors and mayors objected?
Well, Senator, because Governor Newsom was unwilling to address
That's not my
protecting
question.
federal law enforcement agents in Los Angeles, President Trump had all the authorities and the Defense Department happily supported defending our ICE agents in the conduct of their job. They have the right as Americans to be able to do their job without being attacked by mobs. And we will protect them in that process. And if other states needed it, we would provide that.
I know that you heard my question. So you would be willing to send troops if the president ordered it to Chicago, New York City? That's right.
Well, thankfully, New York City, unlike California, unlike Gavin Newsom, is willing to step up and address the issue with their local law enforcement.
I will take that as a yes. How about if the president says he wants to send troops to 15 cities? Would you be willing to do that?
Senator, I don't accept your hypothetical because it's
That's a hypothetical.
Not a real
That's
one.
the question. You're the Secretary of Defense. Would you send troops to 15 cities if the president said do it? Would you do it? 15 cities.
Again, Senator, it's a complete hypothetical lacking any context
Look,
at all.
You're the Secretary
and I refuse
of
to box
Defense.
myself in based on
You
questioning
can refuse,
on a hypothetical.
But you're here asking for $1 trillion, and I want to know how you're going to spend it. And so my question is, if Donald Trump tells you to send troops to 15 American cities, are you going to spend the money and send the troops?
Thankfully, we're spending money on securing our southern border, a way the previous administration abandoned and allowed 21 million illegals to enter our country. So defending our homeland is a real serious priority under this administration, and we're doing it.
I understand the question about defense. Secretary Hegseth, about 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines have been sent to L.A. Is there a number of troops deployed to American cities over the objections of governors and mayors?
The press caught up to Donald when he was putting Donald Trump, with all due respect, I should have said that, caught up to the president today while they were putting up 2 new flags. And he made a rather interesting comment, and I concur. I'm just going to say this right now. I concur with this statement. I was once the hunted, but I am turning into the hunter. Let's play it.
What gave you the idea to do this?
I've had it for a long time. In the first term I had it, but you guys were after me. I said I had to focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Okay, and President Trump had this to say about what's happening in Iran. Let's go ahead and play it.
Some of the people in the base don't want a long-term war. They're afraid that we're going to get into a long-term war.
We're not looking for a long-term war. We're looking. I only want one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's it. I'm not looking long-term, short-term. And I've been saying that for 20 years. I've been saying it as a civilian who got a lot of publicity. People would cover it. Very simply, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's it. It's not a question of anything else. And if you did, you wouldn't have much of a country because they would use it on us and they'd use it on other people and they'd be a terror all over the world.
The U.S. Embassy in Israel is closed. And here's what it says. Because of the current situation, ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran, the U.S. Embassy has directed all of its government employees and their family members to continue to shelter in place and near their residences until further notice. So through Wednesday the 18th through Friday the 20th, which means something's probably going to happen in that time. And lastly, I'm just going to do this before we go out in the same feel of this. I think I've given you a lot in this 2.5 hours. The hackers, we have hackers. We don't know who they are. CIA, Mossad, it has to be one of them. They breached Iranian TV and they called for the people to take to the streets. Let's go ahead and play it.
شجاعت آنها و آرزوی مردم آزاد دنیا برای زندگی خوب و آرام را دوباره تعریف کردیم.
فعلا نمیخوام عوض کنم. ساکت.
این لحظه شما به خیابان‌ها بروید و آینده خود تصور کنید. این در دستان شما و ممکن است حکومت در حفاظت از حریم هوایی ایران شکست خورد.
خب این الان چجوری میخواید نشون شبکه‌ای که
اونجا آرمش ایران میبینید بالا سر
آرمش این ببین
شکست خورد. حکومت در رقابت
میتونی بزنی یک چیز آنتن صدا سیما نماهواره
برخیزید
دو بزنم
آینده شما
بزن دو
به خیابان‌ها بروید بعد
کرده آره
تونستم جمع کنم
سلام و درود.
نه دیگه اون بالاش چیزه شیره نمیدونم چیه
سالهاست که پولهای شما را هدر می‌دهند ترور، ویرانی و تخریب صرف می‌کنند. چه در خارج از کشور و چه در داخل آن. آنها میلیاردها دلار را صرف توسعه موشک‌ها و برنامه‌های تسلیحات هسته‌ای می‌کنند. به جای اینکه در زیرساخت‌های آموزش و پزشکی برای رفاه
چیزو نداری آنتن ایرانو
همچنین در کسی پوشیده نیست که چند روز پیش این وضعیت شروع به تغییر کرد. افسران ارشد نیرو
All right, let's pray it out. Here, I'll look at some comments before I do. What does Israel mean today? Thank you, Susan Rice, the good Susan Rice. I know I went long today, but it was necessary. As always, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Covered a lot. I'll probably cut it up into a couple shows on the audio version. So just to make sure you get both as well. Look, it's super important that you settle in on what is, you settle in on what truth is, period, and fight against it. But I do believe that I was the hunted, and I do believe I'm about to be the hunter. So pray for me. They're still coming for me. They're still coming for me. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you. I sometimes feel broken. I feel lost, feel angry. And you just reset things for me, Father, just like, hey, I got this. And you bring it to me in messages, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the path that you've put me on. Thank you for the people you've put in my life. Thank you for the opportunity that I've had and that I continue to have. And thank you, Father, for the blessings that I enjoy, even amongst the strife and the challenges, which I'm also grateful for as well. Father, I just ask you to help those that are listening, that they may be pushed to to have a voice, to speak truth into their community, to reject the idea that we have to support a established government, and that they can use propaganda and the good word, your words, against us to support diabolical behavior. And I don't know what else to call it. Killing innocent people and planning for a few years the ability to go in and destroy things. And maybe President Trump is right. Maybe they don't need to have nuclear weapons. And I just pray that your will be done, Father. But it feels like everything around us is being manipulated in such a way where that evil is just consuming our communities and our country and our society. And we are sitting back and watching it. So, Father, I would just ask you to give us the strength and the direction and the wisdom and the patience and the courage to do what is right and to stand resolute in the idea of speaking truth and acting in that truth. There's a lot of bad people out there, Father. And but there's so many more good. So I ask you that you drive us towards that place where we can connect and be connected to good people. And the bad people that would do bad things, that infiltrate the good, that they will be exposed. And I ask these things, Father, humbly, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. We talked a little bit, excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to cough in you guys' ear. We talked a lot about Lindell, the stuff with that should explain it. If you have any issues, take this and send it over to Jeffrey Filial and his little band of idiots that want to create their propaganda. You can send it wherever you want. But I want people to hear it. I want to hear about what happened with Coomer and the trial, but I also want you to hear about all the other stuff that we're talking about, especially Tucker Carlson. So share his stuff. They're suppressing him on X right now. It doesn't make any sense. 50 million people should have watched that interview. And it didn't happen because they now see him as the enemy. Everyone's the enemy if they don't stand up for diabolical behavior and being a part of the club. That should tell you everything you need to know. So at some point, we're going to have to just break down the walls. But again, all right, have a great night. We'll see you guys here tomorrow. God bless you. And remember, stay in the Word and stay prayed up. We'll see you soon.